what we will do is we'll get started now. So welcome everyone to another oncourt.ca Zoom presentation. And with us today, we have Alexander Donski, ATP number 576, and Martin Beran, ATP number 838. So welcome guys, and thanks for joining in. What I've done is I've basically asked everybody to prepare a couple of questions for you guys, and we can kind of run this as mostly a Q&A, but I think my first question for you guys is just to enlighten us on kind of what you've been doing during this time, how you've been keeping busy, what kind of, maybe training methods you've used or what you've been able to do, and maybe we can start like this. So Martin, why don't you start off?
Well, not much we can be doing right now with the whole, I guess, racket playing, whatnot. So the best thing that what I've been doing is everyone knows Jesse Flores. So I've been going to his house pretty much every single day. And we've literally been having like hour and a half, 2 hour workouts where it's just, we're trying to kill ourselves because, it's not like we have anything else to do, right? So even tougher than probably while we're training fitness. So yeah, just anything to do. He's got a treadmill, so we've been, blood, sweat, and tears on the treadmill, doing intervals. We have some weights, lifting as much as we can. Just kind of making do with what we have, right? So. Yep.
Yeah, there's really no excuse to not be in tip-top shape after this. It's a great opportunity to focus on the physical side of the training. So that's great. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, so I've been running every day and been doing the exercises my brother gave me.
Awesome.
Downstairs, and we have like a small gym, and I'm working on everything, prevention, core, but mostly my cardio is something that I really wanted to improve during this period.
Okay.
I'm struggling with the cardio on tour.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically that's all I've been able to do. There's a wall near my house where occasionally I go hit, but yeah, that's not happening very often.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great benefit to have an asset like your brother in the house to motivate you, push you, kind of make everything in order. So this is really nice. Really good. Really good. I actually have a couple of other questions, but what I'll do is I'll just kind of turn it over to the group for a little bit, and anybody who has questions, you can either use the chat or use the raise hand feature. And I've specifically asked all of my guys to have questions prepared, so I know they all will. And then once we've run through a bunch of their questions, then I can come back to a couple of questions I have for you guys. When you guys address the question, you could either address it to one of them, you could address it to Martin or Alex, or you could address it to both of them. Like maybe one of my questions pertain to one of them and one of my questions pertain to both. So it depends, like maybe one of them more specific than the other. Like Alex grew up playing a lot in Quebec and Martin grew up playing a lot in Ontario. So I don't know how your questions relate, but it can be for either. So let's go to AG. Go ahead.
Okay. So this question is for Alex.
Yeah.
What do you think will be the hardest challenge when you come back on the tour?
I think it's going to come the matches. The matches is going to be difficult. Getting the rhythm in the matches, because once you get that winning streak going, getting that winning streak is going to be very difficult for me. And getting the confidence to really go for my shots again for sure is going to be a challenge. But yeah, I think this is going to be the hardest. Otherwise, everything is, I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think that's a common answer we've heard from some of the people is, finding a way to get that confidence back, being match tough, getting the, like you said, win streak. I know when we had spoke to Alejandro on here, he had voiced some of the same concerns. It's like you're on a bit of a roll and things are starting to go well. And it's like, but before that, it was a struggle. And then you finally got that win streak going. And then all of a sudden it's a big break. And it's like, wow, when I come back, where am I going to be at? Am I going to be struggling again? Am I going to feel confident again? And so, yeah, this is something that we've heard from more than one player. So, yeah, it's very, very realistic. Sophia, go ahead.
My question is, why didn't you choose to go to university and go pro instead?
It's a good question.
For me, yeah.
Go ahead, Alex.
I guess it could be for both players, because I think both players went the same route. So yeah, I think we can hear from both.
Well, I chose not to go because first of all, I was never really focused on school. In high school, I was mostly out of the country playing tournaments, playing ITF junior tournaments, and I never was focused on school. I was always maintaining the average that I had to, but my goal was always to become professional. In Bulgaria, once I moved there, I dedicated my whole time to achieving that goal. And basically, I saw that the university was something that I could possibly do after. And right now, I just want to give myself the best shot of making it. And that's why I chose to pursue tennis now and studies later.
Great. And Martin, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, very similar answers. I guess like coming out of juniors around like the 16, 17 age, I kind of thought that I was like, at the time I was good enough because I was probably one of the best in the nation. And even before going to college, before having to go to college, I ended up getting an ATP point. So like in my mind, I was thinking like, well, I'm on a bit of a roll, playing really well, really good, at the age I thought I could get it, I guess push through and go pro. Even though my parents like really wanted me to go to college. I don't know, I just same like Alex, I was never like big into like school, I just did what was like necessary to do, like get by right in school. But yeah, I always wanted to be a like pro, I guess, and I thought I had the chance to do it, so I kind of took it and went for it.
Excellent. Let's go to Josh. Go ahead.
This is to both of you. What could you have done better when you were a junior?
Not tank practices.
Okay, so better work ethic in your practice.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I knowing now what I know, if back when I was 15, 16, I definitely would have not like trained more, but just trained with higher quality, I remember being 15, 16, like all I like waited for was like the weekend, just to like chill. But that's not really the way that you should be thinking as a junior, Definitely quality, yeah. Just better quality, better work ethic, and putting the work in then rather than having to catch up later.
Right. Okay.
For
Alex,
me,
what about you?
When I was a junior, I was very hard-headed. I wouldn't listen that much. So when I went to France, I started listening way more. And in Moratogu, in the academy there, I started listening way more and trying out different stuff. I think I should have done that much earlier, because that's when my progress really came. And yeah, basically not to listen to the coaches and to try out different stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, two good answers. We have a question from Bianca, and it's directed to both players. She says, when you are playing, how do you use the mental aspect of your game to your advantage?
Good question. The mental aspect, I don't know. It's for me, a lot of it's like the confidence part of things. If you have the confidence and you believe in kind of like just your game itself, you have the mentality to be like, well, I can beat anyone. If you have the skill to do it. I guess just being kind of that dog on the court, just fighting for every point pretty much, not letting anything go by you. That's pretty much it, yeah.
For me, I think the preparation it plays a big role for my mental toughness on the tournament on the court, because when I feel prepared, I feel much more confident. Like when I know I put on all the hours of work that I had to, and then I go to the tournament and I feel much more confident in all my strokes, and it helps me get that hunger of winning, get that get that winning streak that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, it's all going to come from that preparation.
Right. So the preparation gives you the confidence to go out there and play and execute.
Yeah, just be there and
Yep.
want.
Okay. Great. Great. Let's hear from. Let's see if it unmutes here. Christian, go ahead.
This is the either one. What part of your game do you think you need to improve upon the most to take your game to the next level?
Okay, good question. Let's see
That was
what
good.
Martin has to say. I might have a different opinion.
I don't know. I for me to I guess take the next step, I guess becoming a better player would be definitely like the whole physicality of the game, just being a lot more physical and just playing bigger, braver tennis. Yeah, just like kind of just no fear, right? That kind of tennis. Can't be going out there doing 20 ball rallies anymore,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer from Martin. Yeah, the physical style, putting pressure on your opponent, being brave.
Yeah.
I think this is a good answer. And Alex, what about you?
For me, I think consistency. Consistency is. I'm a very aggressive player, and I really go for my shots. But learning how to be consistent at times, this is where I've lost a lot of matches against better players than me with higher ranking. They always beat me with consistency because they're not going for crazy shots. They're just keeping the ball in play, and that's where I have to learn. I think a lot still, and tactically how to do that. And yeah, consistency I think is the main thing that I have to work on.
Right. And I think that ties in with what you said earlier. You said you wanted to work on your cardio part because you were being able, and then maybe if you work on the cardio, you'll be able to last longer and you'll want to stay in the rally instead of pulling the trigger early. So yeah, it sounds like everything is lining up and correlated. Very good. Very good. Let's hear from the man, Doug Burke.
Oh, hey, Mike. Hey, guys. Alex and Martin.
How's it going, Doug?
Thanks for coming in and doing this. So my question is kind of following on the what you've been talking about. Do you see a correlation between your physical fitness and your physical preparation and your mental strength?
Absolutely. Every time, I think every single one of my, let's say, biggest wins on tour were probably due to the fact that I physically felt the best, and being physically prepared, knowing in your mind that you can, go out there last 3 hours and play at the same level for 3 hours is mentally just like probably the best thing to have,
Very good.
I mentioned earlier that I like to go into my tournaments knowing that my physical preparation was, top notch, and it definitely helps mentally. It affects you mentally. And if you don't have that preparation, you're gonna start having doubt on the forehand, on the serve, on certain situations. That's when I.
So you always listen to your brother, huh?
Yeah.
You do what he tells you to do. There you go.
100%.
Good. Thank you, Doug. Thank you for this question and good answers, guys. Yeah, I think this is really important information for the players to listen to. So this was very good.
Right.
Dennis, let's hear from Dennis.
How do you control your emotions in the middle of a match when you're losing?
Okay, good question. So you're you're down, the score is against you, and how do you keep your focus, your motivation, your drive? What kind of tips or tricks do you guys have?
Yeah, I mean, for me, first things first, I slow things down completely. You go to the bathroom, you try to disrupt the rhythm of your opponent, and start to annoy him. You know, that's one of the things that a lot of players do. A lot of players do, and yeah, the other thing is to just keep going. You know, you feel angry, but use it to your advantage, not to show it to the opponent to motivate him to beat you and to finish you off even quicker. So just slow things down and use that energy to just play longer points, to grunt, to yell commands and stuff like that. That always helps.
Very good. Very good. And Martin, what about you? You have any tips for when you're down and things are against you?
Definitely like slowing down tempo, probably in between points, give yourself extra time. But all in all, kind of just resetting. If you're going down the same path of losing and you're doing the same thing over and over again, you need to take a step back and kind of just reset and think about it being, starting again from the beginning. But now with a different mindset, a bit more positive mindset, more of a fighting mindset maybe. But yeah, just definitely kind of resetting,
Perfect. Yep. Very good. Let's check in with Andrea Cabio. Let's see if there we go. Andrea, go ahead.
Do you have a certain nutrition plan that you have to follow?
Oh, good question.
Hopefully,
hopefully Alex Donski doesn't follow the same nutrition plan that his brother uses.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so I don't really have one, but I should get a diet, specific diet. But I try to take my proteins, try to eat as much of the healthy food as I can. In my house, my mom cooks only, she wants only healthy food. So when I'm here at home, yeah, I mean, the diet is pretty clean, but there's some snacks here and there. Sometimes, of course, you can't avoid them, but yeah, mostly right now I'm not really focusing on diets and stuff. I try to eat as healthy as I can, and yeah, that's it. But in the future, I'll definitely start looking into that more.
And do you guys find it more challenging when you're on the road to address this stuff? Like I would imagine at home, it's probably a little bit easier, like especially if you're at home with your parents and they can kind of like maybe cook for you or stuff like where you can cook for yourself. But when you're on the road, do you find that you're eating out in restaurants a lot, or are you still able to cook some meals for yourself and find healthy snacks? Or
I mean, what I do in the restaurants when I'm on the road, it's easy to eat healthy on the road, I think, because the restaurants all offer salads, chicken and rice, fish, and all those meals you could get it from the restaurant. In France, though, the food is terrible. It's terrible in the academy there, and I was really surprised because in the morning, the breakfast it ends at 8, so you have to get up at 7 to catch it, and all you get is a croissant, a glass of milk, and a banana, a fruit, or an apple, you choose. But one croissant, and some jam. That's it.
wow.
And yeah, basically you have to add yourself to that because otherwise you have no chance. But in France, the breakfast is difficult, but the rest is okay. The lunch and dinner is easier there.
Okay. That's interesting. Very interesting. Good stuff. Let's hear from Muhammad Ali.
My question is, what's the worst thing when you get on the court? Like, what's the most thing that you would need the help?
Sorry, say your question again because I'm not sure I understand. Maybe they do, but I'm not sure I understand. Say again, Mohammed.
What's the worst thing when you get on court?
The worst thing. So, like, what do you mean by this? Like, in terms of fear, or in terms of physicality, or in terms of like you're being sore, or explain like what an answer could be.
Ground stroke, serve, like.
Oh, okay. So when they get on court, like what part of their game doesn't always feel there? Like what part of their game are they not confident in?
Yeah, like what's gonna be the worst thing that's gonna happen? Like what's the worst?
Oh, well, the worst is when you go out there and you start missing by, a little. That's definitely has happened a lot, where you just don't feel your strokes anymore. And it could be because of the pressure or something else, but it happens where you just go on court and nothing works, and you still have to find a way to beat the guy. So that's
Okay, so
an uncomfortable place to be.
right. So for you, you feel it's mostly your rhythm and timing, like that's really important to you. And if you don't have that, then it's really difficult.
Yeah, I would say that.
Perfect. And for you, Martin?
Coming on the court, I feel like the worst thing would be just going on the court with nerves.
I thought you were going to say going on the court and not being able to make your serve.
No, but it all ties with the nerves, right? Like if I
very good.
If I have a bit of nerves coming on court, things are gonna start to fall apart,
Yeah.
Even like if you're in the warm up and you're feeling nervous, it's not I mean, there's always gonna be nerves, but you need to obviously find a way to get over them.
Right.
But yeah, nerves. If you're extreme nervous, especially playing, let's say, against a better player in like a bigger tournament, in like later on in the tournament where you've kind of never been before, let's say, and with those nerves, your forehand starts breaking down. You start missing your first serves. Your legs, you're on your heels all the time. That's probably the worst thing that could happen. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Some good, interesting answers there. Chris, go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
All right. I have a question for Alex Donski.
Okay.
Yeah, shoot.
All right. How did you feel when you realized you qualified for Davis Cup?
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, playing in the Davis Cup is always a really fun event. And playing for your country is definitely different. The pressure is different. And the excitement during, like the feelings, the emotions are very different. It's like you're part of a team now. It's like playing football or something. It's super cool. Like, when I qualified for the Davis Cup in Costa Rica, that's where I played my first match. It was something. It was special. It was special. It's definitely special, and it makes everything worth it. Playing for the Davis Cup. It's a really nice event.
Awesome. And this kind of, I can jump over to one of my own questions now, because this kind of leads into one of my questions. And one of my questions for both of you guys is, what do you think of the team tennis format used in Europe and the NCAA? And I know it might be slightly different, but I think the same philosophy is that, you're kind of part of a team, and you play as a team, compete as a team, you support one another. And so what do you think of this format?
I like it. I mean, it's different. It's different than playing singles, because you feel like you're in a cage all alone, basically. It's less pressure. The team takes on the pressure together, and it's definitely a fun way. Some people would like this much more than being out there on their own, for sure. I think it's a really good format, and
Awesome.
there could be a balance.
I would say that there's more pressure,
pressure.
but more of a fun pressure.
Yeah, I mean, a fun pressure. That's what.
Yeah, because like you don't want to let your team down, and
Of course.
but that's like the whole aspect of team events. That's why it's fun,
Yeah.
it's also like refreshing playing a team event in
especially,
tennis rather than playing singles. And yeah, I just wish there was more events. Obviously, people could play throughout the year.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, it's crossed my mind many times to find a way to take the format used in the NCAA and somehow create a similar environment here amongst the clubs and the players. And I think it could be something very valuable for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question for Alex, and that's what made you choose to go to Bulgaria and live and train there?
Well, so it's a long story, kind of. I got kicked out of the national team here in Tennis Canada. I was with them for a couple of years before they kicked me out. And when they kicked me out, I no longer had, a club to train in. I had to find a new club, a coach, and all that. And I did that, and it was just getting really expensive to train here in Canada and to continue. So we looked at our options in Bulgaria, and we found a coach there that was willing to train me basically for free. And I went there, lived with my grandma, and that's basically what pushed me, the financial aspect of it, to go there. And also Bulgaria is in Europe, and tennis is much stronger in Europe, I would say. And there's much more tournaments, and it's closer. And Bulgaria would be a really good base to go to all these places.
Right. Yeah. So again, financially easier to access tournaments and better competition. Okay. I have a question from Danilo. His question is for both of you. And that's, who is your inspiration in tennis? I guess it could be a tennis athlete or a non-tennis athlete, or a family member, or could be anybody. But yeah, who's your inspiration?
For me, Djokovic, I would say. Physically, he's just superior than most of the guys out there, and it's just beautiful to watch how he deals with. He constantly wins, and he finds a way to win, and he's definitely an example that I look up to, for sure. And also, I can say that Grigor Dimitrov also said those things. In Australia, he looks up to him a lot. So, yeah.
Very good. Martin, what about you?
I don't know if anyone. I kind of found like a new kind of idol-ish when you. I don't know if anyone's seen on Netflix now The Last Dance documentary about Michael Jordan.
Yes, yeah, I've been watching this.
Unbelievable. I mean, this guy was like, he's an absolute like idol for me. Just like the way he carries himself, the way he performs, like under pressure, his mentality, just everything about him. Crazy. Yeah. So he's like a, big role model there.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend watching that documentary to everyone. It's very interesting. And for those of you in my national team Zoom chat each week, that's going to be homework, if not next week, then the week after. But yeah, I'm going to kind of ask for you guys to start to watch this, because I think it's really something special, whether you're a Michael Jordan fan or not. But I think there's a lot we can learn from this.
I mean, I honestly never was like a massive Michael Jordan, because I never really watched him play.
Right.
Because like I was obviously too young. But like looking back at this documentary, watching this, I'm like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, there's a question from Mihailo, and it kind of ties into one of the questions that I had as well. So I can I'll ask this one to Martin, because I know that Martin was, he went and trained in Moratoglu. And I know, Alex, you mentioned earlier that you've been there as well. And I know Martin was training in Germany. And so my question to Martin was kind of like, how was it different training there versus in Canada? And what did you like or dislike about it? And what were the benefits to it? So this is kind of my question.
I think the difference probably would be that both of them, Moratugu and Germany, compared to Canada, they're a lot more like eat, sleep, breathe tennis. It literally felt like a 24/7 job there. Like you would wake up at 6, 7, and then you're training till 6, 7 p.m. And then you're so tired, you're passing out at 8, 8:30, and you're waking up doing it all over again, right? So there's not literally an hour in the day where you're just like chilling, kind of. You're always doing something.
Right.
Obviously, training here is you're at home with your family. Like as a kid, you're going to school. It's a bit more. You have times of the day where you're away from tennis. Also, being overseas, especially Germany, it was like extremely lonely, like very, very lonely. Okay. Just like, yeah, there's not. Sure, there's other players there, but everyone kind of does their own thing because everyone's just fed up with tennis. They just go their own way after you're finished the day.
Right.
So yeah, so it's like you're alone and all you do is every day the same thing.
Okay. Let's jump over to Lucas. Go ahead.
My question's for both of you. How do you guys deal with the pressure and nerves in match play, and how do you not let those nerves affect your strokes?
I mean, I guess it kind of all stems from your training. If you get the confidence to do it almost perfectly in training, doing thousands and thousands of reps in training, it's going to carry over to your matches. If right now if I was to go play a tournament, not picking a racket for 2 months, obviously I'm going to have some pressure and some nerves, putting the ball in the court. But if you're day in, day out practicing, just putting in the reps you need, you shouldn't have that much pressure because you should have the confidence in yourself that you've been training, So
it's all about, I think, getting rid of the doubt that creeps in matches. It's like when you set up to hit that forehand winner, those doubts that come: am I gonna miss it? Am I gonna get it? It's all comes down to how you practice them, and what Martin says. I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier of preparation, being prepared, and having a clear intention. Having clear intentions will help you deal with the pressure and shot selection.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a good question. Good question and some good answers there. Adamo has a question for both of you, and it's kind of an interesting question. Maybe you can tell a little story behind it, but who was the toughest guy you ever played and where? Or maybe it was a situation you were in, maybe, it was difficult conditions, or maybe you play somebody that have a level that you didn't play against before. And, those serves that are usually unreturnable start coming back at you, or.
Yeah, I've had a lot of difficult matches. I had matches, like you said, big servers, where you just have to focus on holding your serve, otherwise you lost the match because you don't have a chance. I mean, I've had many matches like this, and it's always fun. I think when you're faced with a challenge like this to overcome, it's always fun for me to try to figure out a way to overcome this challenge and get the win at the end. But I don't know which specific match to tell you about.
Yeah, you've had a lot. Yeah, they're all tough out there. Yeah,
they're all tough. And for me, I think it's the joy in this sport is to try to always find this way, your way, to beat this guy, to outsmart him, outthink him, outplay him. And yeah, I think
I'd probably say it's not a specific match, but it's more of like a specific situation. Going over to Europe, you're mostly playing on clay. Red, slow clay, and the situation would be where I'd play against, let's say, a good clay court grinder, and it pretty much it throws out 3 points off my first serve, it throws out, hitting winners from the baseline pretty much with your forehand. Like you expect every single ball back, and it just like annoys the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And those are probably the toughest situations, playing against specific players on that surface.
Yeah.
That kind of probably like upset me the most, or frustrate me the most.
And me and Martin devised a plan how to work against this. It was just to take all of the European red clay court tournaments out of his schedule, and that was the best way to defeat this situation.
And that's what I did for half the season last year.
Okay, I have a question from Ethan. Being a professional, how do you deal with financial pressures when the outcome of a match cannot be predicted or controlled? So I guess, I would assume both of you have some sort of financial pressure being out there. You understand that's, maybe you need to reach a certain round, or maybe you have a sponsor who's expecting a certain rank from you, or I don't know each of your situation this well, but how do you deal with that financial pressure, that burden on you? Do you have help for that, or is it just you got to win to continue on, and if not, then it's
yeah. Go ahead, Martin. Yeah.
I've had, it's kind of it's a burden, but it's also positive because it gives you the drive.
Yeah.
If you obviously certain tournaments, if you're not in a great financial situation, you're in your head, you're like, oh, I got to make at least quarters, or I got to make at least semis to break even this week. Obviously if you're struggling financially, obviously, which like I'm sure both of us have,
yes,
of course the pressure goes up, but so does your drive, right, to win. So
okay.
it kind of evens out, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say like to try not to think about it, because that really can hurt your tennis and your progression in tennis. If you think about ranking points and the financial pressure that's on you also is basically the same thing, I would say. Not to think about it. The outcome of a match, I would say you can control it, because if you prepare well, the chances of the outcome would be in your favor.
Very good. Very good. Ethan says thank you, by the way. Okay, I have a very, very interesting question. One that kind of interests me as well, because I like to think about stuff like this. So it's a question from Mihailo, and he says, in important points, do you have a certain tactic or place you serve? So, let's say it's break point against you, or break point for you, or maybe it's set point or match point or whatever. It's a very important point in the match. And do you have a certain strategy that you implement in these situations, or do you just stick to what you've been doing throughout the match?
Yeah, for me, with my coach in France, we try to go in a match with one or two tactics that I would focus on, not more, not to confuse me. And those important points is the weaknesses of the player, your opponent, where the pattern that you're gonna make that tactic that's gonna work against them, that you talk and discuss with your coach before playing the matches. You're gonna apply that tactic where it does the most damage on your opponent's weakness. And yeah, that's definitely what I go to.
Okay, good stuff. And what about you, Martin?
I kind of just go for an ace, I guess. No, but I guess I'll pick my best serves, right? So most likely I'll probably serve both wide. I'm gonna try and go deuce wide or ad wide, and look for my forehand for the open court. That's like pretty much the play on any big point.
But also, it's like how you feel. Like sometimes,
that too. Yeah.
You would feel like your serves are working. You're gonna go for the ace.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. It's a good question and two pretty good answers. That's good. And just for all you juniors out there, like Martin might be going for the free point, but he can serve 130 kilometers an hour. So for the rest of you that serve 80 kilometers an hour, you don't, or sorry, miles per hour. The rest of you that serve 80 miles per hour, I don't recommend you to go for the ace on the important point, okay? Let's hear from Dennis. Go ahead.
Who first inspired you to play tennis?
Good
My
question.
brother.
So yeah, why did you guys choose tennis? How did you get into tennis? Maybe you had somebody that you played with starting out when you were young.
I mean, for me, my brother started playing, and I just followed in his footsteps, and we just helped each other get better. And I mean, he helped me mostly get better. But yeah, I mean, I followed my brother.
Awesome. And you, Martin?
Yeah,
Followed your sister.
yeah, it's literally same thing. My sister she's 2 years older than me, and she started playing before me, and obviously I just followed up, and I just wanted to beat her. That's how it kind of started.
Awesome. So for all of you out there that are the younger sibling, you have a good advantage, and if you're the older sibling, maybe you'll be the inspiration to your younger sibling, but you have to work hard. Otherwise, you're going to end up like Martin's sister and Alex's brother, and they're not as good as them. So let's hear from Andrea Cabio. Go ahead, Andrea.
What's your most memorable match and why?
Most memorable match and why? Okay. Do you guys have a match that sticks out as being, special or memorable?
Yeah, I would say the match I played once I won the wild card in the 250 event in Sofia, my first 250 event. And
okay.
Big deal for me, and I couldn't believe that I was gonna play on that stage, and yeah, it was against Martin Klizan.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was unbelievable experience, and it's gonna stay forever. So
yeah,
that's the most.
Yeah, to play ATP 250 against this level player, this is very special. Very good. And you, Martin?
Probably one of two would be either my first ATP point match, where I think I went through qualies and I was down match point in like the second round quali. And then in the first round main draw, I ended up playing a guy that was 300, third seed. And obviously with zero pressure whatsoever, ended up beating the guy for the first ATP point.
Wow.
That one, or I was playing a 25K in Gatineau. And I lost in qualies, I think to Galerno.
Okay, yeah.
And I got a lucky loser. And I ended up making quarters, beating a guy like 240 in the second round.
Wow.
And I lost I lost a Bester like 4 in the third or something. Like it was a good tournament.
Wow.
I lost in qualies first round. I remember that tournament. I lost in qualies first round.
Yeah.
Very good. Does anybody else have any questions for either Martin or Alex? If not, maybe I'll just pick on a few of you. Some of you I like to pick on. So, now the hands start to go up. It's good. Joey, go ahead.
How many baselines did you guys run when you were younger?
Not enough.
When I was at Ace, I don't even know how old I was, like maybe 13, 14, tens weren't invented yet. So instead, all we did was beep tests on the weekend and mornings.
Yeah, Martin just started running baselines recently. That's why his rankings start to go up more now. It's good. Yeah, I'm not sure, Alex. I mean, unless Mike Donski gets a basket out there and starts running his brother at the baseline, I'm not sure he does that either.
Yeah, I don't.
Let's hear from Lucas. There we go.
What's one a question for both of you? What's one way you've been working on your serve, although you can't be hitting balls right now? Like, have you been doing something like creative, or just been doing shadow swings?
I haven't really been doing shadow stuff, but I think I'm just coming off still like a shoulder injury, so I'm trying to get my shoulder to be like like as strong as possible. You know, the mobility of the shoulder, the strength of the entire upper body. I'm just trying to really maintain that right now.
Yeah, for those of you that didn't know, Martin had a shoulder injury and he missed quite a bit of the year because of this. So this has probably been a good period of time for him to rehabilitate and re-strengthen that shoulder.
Yeah.
He mentioned. And what about you, Alex? Have you been doing anything to try to maintain the feeling of your serve or?
Not really. Visualization.
Okay,
Sometimes.
visualization is something that's come up with me and my group a fair bit, and so yeah, this is very interesting. And for those of you out there, like some ideas that I can give you would be simply to just try and go outside and play, you know, throw a ball with your, you know, a brother or sister or your mom or dad, you know, because very similar, you know, we want to have a good throwing motion on our serve. So if you get a baseball and you go outside and practice throwing a baseball, then it's probably going to help your serve. So it could be an idea for some of you out there in order to keep this feeling on your serve.
I'd also probably add that when we do kind of return to being on court, to probably just take it slow as well. I'll just get out there and start bombing serves.
That's for sure.
Everyone's going to tear their shoulder. So
yep.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to need, you know, good amount of repetition on the serve, but I certainly wouldn't recommend serving more than 50% at the start. Just really ease into your motion and like Martin said, be careful, otherwise you're going to hurt yourself. Versailles wants to know what were some of your biggest setbacks? Maybe it's one that's in your mind, or maybe you had a couple of different times in your tennis career, but did you have any major setback? Maybe it was an injury, maybe it was, you know, I guess the situation we're in right now, but it's I think going to be a setback for everybody, but is there something in your mind that you can remember that was a big setback for you in tennis?
For me, I had an injury on my hamstring, and I had to stop for a month. But other than that, I didn't have.
Okay. So Alex Donski has been really listening to his brother, and he only had injury where he was out a month. This is unbelievable. Really good. Really good. And Martin, what about you?
It's probably this shoulder injury. It's been out for like 6 months. Or I had a bit of a setback was I had like sponsorship opportunities where they wanted to see me perform in a few tournaments, and obviously I didn't perform to the best of my ability at the time, so I ended up losing the sponsorship opportunity. So that was a bit of a bummer, a bit of a setback.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Good question, Versailles. Hopefully that answered your question. Adamo would like to know what's next for you guys, and I mean, I can kind of lead into this question maybe for you, is that, I mean, in my opinion, I think it can be difficult to know what's next, because we're in a situation that's, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. When will the tennis tour start back up? I don't know, because so many countries still have their borders closed and people are not able to travel right now. People don't feel safe to travel. Obviously, the ATP Tour and ITF Tour, they're on hold right now. When they do start back up, I don't know how many tournaments there will be, because tournaments are run by federations and by sponsors. And, you know, for example, Tennis Canada has lost a lot of their money due to not being able to host the Rogers Cup this year. And so they've canceled all of their tournaments. And I would imagine that many other federations are going to be in a similar situation. So, I mean, outside of the Grand Slam nations, I'm not sure who's going to be able to host tournaments anytime in the near future. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that, or, you know, if you have any plans or what you think might happen, but it's kind of my 2 cents on that.
For the tournaments, yeah, I mean, we have to wait. But for the club matches, they haven't been canceled. They've just been postponed, I think. So I'm waiting to see when they're going to give me a date to go because it was supposed to start this month.
Okay.
Today. But yeah, they're probably going to push it a month or two.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with the league in Germany.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to hear back from the captain of my team, but he also said that because they're not affiliated with ITF,
yeah.
And so as soon as I guess things get a little bit better in Germany, like I don't think they kind of want to get it going.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then also I mean after that, plan-wise, once ITF reopens, me and Alex actually we're both talking about we're gonna go play some doubles and stuff together, travel a bit together, and in Europe and stuff. So that'll be fun. That's something to look forward to.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions. I mean, I got my questions answered and everybody got their questions in, it seems. So, guys, I wanted to thank you for making the time for doing this and sharing this insight with all the kids in the chat and all the other tennis players in the chat and coaches. So thank you again for taking the time to make this happen. We all really appreciate it. And all I can say is stay safe and hang in there, and hopefully we'll see you back on the court soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, good. All the best. Good luck, guys. Thank you.